Hey, so this is meant to be a follow-up to my non-binary representation video, so if you haven't seen that one yet, I recommend watching it first. But hey, I'm probably not the boss of you. So just a few weeks ago, I made Let's Talk About Non-Binary Representation, and for a couple of different reasons, the video ended up having a few less characters than I'd originally hoped for, so I figured I'd talk about some of the characters that, for whatever reason, just didn't make the cut, and then give you my general thoughts on them and tell you why they weren't included. So yeah, no need for a preamble, let's just get started. The first group of characters I'll talk about weren't included because I just straight up forgot to include them. I thought about them while I was at work or in the shower running DoorDash and forgot that I didn't actually put them in, which is dumb and happens a bunch. I call this category characters I forgot because I have ADHD and a bad memory and I'm just kind of dumb sometimes. You know what, someone should really come up with a shorter name for that. So there's only actually 3 characters in this category, and 2 of them are from the same series. So that's why I'm talking about Stella and Kai'Sa from Fire Emblem first. So Stella is interesting, as they are an artificial lifeform known as a Murph, the big bad of Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade. So while they appear human, they technically aren't. They're stated by Nergal to be his greatest creation, and interestingly, the series sidesteps the idea that they're non-binary due to being non-human by the fact that they're the only non-binary Murph in the series, with all the others assigned either male or female. With their androgynous appearance and artificial nature, they actually remind me of the concept of the Rebus, the magnum opus of alchemy and a creature that is both male and female as well as neither. While their gender is never really confirmed in the original game, and their battle model was a generic female sage, Fire Emblem Heroes has confirmed them to be non-binary, and they have a non-binary voice actor, Casey Mongillo. Honestly, they're just really cool and I like the design. Kai'Sa, on the other hand, is a Tiger Lagoose from Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, who was also confirmed to be non-binary in Fire Emblem Heroes. Interestingly, they were originally closer aligned to being trans-feminine, as it was stated in the Fire Emblem 20th Anniversary Encyclopedia that Kai'Sa has a male body but a female heart. In the Japanese version of Radiant Dawn, Kai'Sa uses feminine pronouns and speech patterns when around close friends, but speaks more masculinely while around strangers or authority figures. In the English release though, they mostly just spoke flamboyantly at times, which isn't really a one-to-one, though both versions kept their romantic interest in their male commander, which is cool. So yeah, that basically sums them up. They're just pretty neat overall. Finally, let's talk Testament. Guilty Gear as a series has just never really been on my radar since I'm not really into fighting games, so basically everything I know about it and its characters is either from reading the wiki or YouTube, so I don't really have much of an opinion on Testament as a character. They look cool, and I think it's really cool that they're specifically agender like me, though it was pointed out to me in the comments of the NB Rep video that they had a more masculine leaning appearance in older games, but they were softened up and made to look more androgynous in Guilty Gear Strive. If I had to guess, the developers wanted to lean more into the androgyny associated with non-binary characters. It also fits the art style of the new game, so I'm not too broken up about it. My only real question, were they non-binary before becoming Gear, or is their identity the result of their transformation? My judgment on them as representation is pretty much at a standstill until I can find out, and that's just to decide on whether or not they're okay or really good representation. Again, they mostly just seem really cool to me. Okay, on to the next category. I call this one, You Broke the Rules. I do want to clarify though that I don't think the characters I'll be bringing up in this section are necessarily examples of bad representation. They just didn't follow enough the rules to be included. Hell, most of them are just guilty of the crime of there being no in-text acknowledgement. Like Asher Burdak from Kipo in the Age of Wonder Beasts, who's cool and has a good dynamic with the other characters, it's just that they were only confirmed as non-binary via Word of God. I don't think they're ever even referred to by any pronouns at all in the show, just by name. There's also Courtney from Dead End Paranormal Park, who Hamish Steele has claimed isn't aware of gender at all and that any pronouns are fine. They're also not human, and Netflix persuaded Steele to use the pronouns of Courtney's VA, so they go by she, her in the show. I really like her though, she's one of my favourite characters. Young Justice also has Violet Harper, who I actually regret not mentioning in the last video. They should probably have been in the first category actually, with the really long name, but here we are. So Violet's deal is that they're the reborn soul of the sentient technology known as Mother Box in the body of a dead woman, and they have rainbow powers, and while they're technically not human, the show does get points for an actual in-show acknowledgement of their feelings towards gender. It was pretty well done, robot soul powered zombie status notwithstanding. Over in Anime Land, Kino's Journey has Kino, who is generally believed to be one of the few rare trans-masculine anime protagonists. Kino's gender goes fairly unremarked upon in the show, but word of God is that Kino isn't really attached to either boy or girl, and switches between them depending on the situation. Word of God and a general confusion on their ultimate identity is what kept Kino out of the video, though I do still really like them. I do think that the absolute dumbest example for this list is actually from the game Just Dance 2023, in which the coach for the song Rather Be was Twitter confirmed to be non-binary. Honestly, I didn't even know what to say about this, it just feels like a joke. There are other characters I could bring up, but it'd just be in a short section called I Have Nothing to Say About You, and I'd honestly rather just save everyone the time. Besides, now we get to the real meat of the video, the section called Wow, you did a shit job, didn't you? So I only have a few characters for this, and I'll be going through them from least to most terrible, starting with the Adjudicator from John Wick 3, the Wickening, or whatever it's called. So according to Wikipedia, the Adjudicator didn't have a specified gender in the script, and so their actor, Asia Kate Dillon, suggested making them non-binary because Dillon is non-binary themselves, and the director decided to go with it. What makes this bad representation, though, is the fact that the movie kills them off, burying, as far as I can tell, the only LGBT character in the movie, and possibly the series. If someone in the comments can confirm or deny that, I'd appreciate it. I still haven't watched these movies. They're on my list of things to get to. This feels like something they just didn't think through instead of malicious intent, but it's still pretty shitty. The second character is All from Zoolander 2, who even at the time of release was subject to backlash over essentially just making a cartoonish mockery of non-binary and androgynous people. And having looked into it,
We are all.
So, are you like a male model or a female model?
All is not defined by binary constructs.
That's cool. I don't like labels either. But I think he's asking, do you have a hot dog or a bun? You have a wiener or vagina?
All is all to all.
By the way, All just married her himself, dude. Mono marriage is finally legal in Italy.
I support that. Derek, pretty good, right?
I feel like someone's definitely taking the piss. The scene is so weirdly uncomfortable. Also, hermself? Really? Whatever, 0 to 10, go fuck yourself. The third is Biagio from The Kings of Summer, who in the film says they don't see themselves as having a gender. However, Biagio is also the token unhinged weirdo, utterly diverse from reality, and so the no gender thing feels like a joke. Like, of course Biagio would say that, dude's fucking weird. Also, they're referred to as he the whole time from what I can tell, so just nah. And finally, let's talk about Rose Noble from the latest Doctor Who specials. You know, I really try to avoid being excessively negative in my videos. You can go basically anywhere else for anger, and I like to try to stay upbeat and keep a hopeful message in my work. And even when I have something bad to say about a piece of media, I still try to make it entertaining or funny. But you know what? I just fucking hate what they do with this. I really do. So, the Star Beast brought back Donna Noble, which I was over the fucking moon for, let me tell you, because Donna is the best companion, and I'll fight anybody in the Denny's parking lot over that. And the special centered her and her daughter Rose, and the first thing I think most people would remember about this was the meep, which, and this is true, the second it showed itself on screen I said out loud, "You're evil, aren't you?" And lo was it so. But the meep drew apparent attention from conservative idiots because it said that the meep was its article and pronoun and blah 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 weird alien genders. I really don't give a shit. What I did care about was Rose, though, who I thought was supposed to be a trans woman because that's what the poorly written bullies in the background were implying, and I was on board for that. And then it was specified that she was non-binary, though she only goes by she, her, and never by they, them. And then the special outright states that she's non-binary because the meta-crisis was passed down to her in the womb, meaning her gender is because aliens. Because the Doctor is non-binary, and that means she's non-binary now too. And then to top it all off, it makes the reason that she and Donna don't die of Time Lord brain disease is because they're women and can let go of power. Which is, to quote the show, something a male-presenting Time Lord couldn't do. Russell T Davies, do me a favour and fuck yourself off a cliff. You know, it's usually pretty easy to tell if a bad depiction of LGBT characters is due to malice or incompetence, but I can only assume it was malicious stupidity that led to this fucking mess, because I don't believe any research into what being non-binary even means was done for the writing of this fucking special. First of all, do you guys remember that long talk I had in the other video on how people assume being non-binary is just woman light? Well, this is the bullshit I was talking about. We get a character who was written to be a trans woman and then had the non-binary identity stapled onto her afterwards, whose non-binary identity is entirely based on the fact that she inherited alien energy, which, by this logic, she'll no longer identify as because she let that power go. Secondly, this fucking special is still working under a gender essentialist framework because it argues that masculine presenting non-binary people, not male presenting, you thick Burke, that's not the term for it, have certain attributes unique to them that makes them inherently and intrinsically different from femme presenting non-binary people. The trait in this case being power hunger. I fucking hate this. It's like a slap in the face, and it's done with such pride, like, we really did something special here. We had our first non-binary character, except not really, and now everyone will remember us fondly as the show that did the progressive gender thing. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so fucking tired of having my gender identity made into a joke. I'm sorry to end this on a sour note like this, but I've just been thinking about this fucking insult to non-binary people for the past few weeks, and I just need to get it off my chest. Someone either punch Russell T Davies for me, or send me some cookies, I don't care which. Hey guys, Future Rotten here. I was actually wrapping up editing when I finally realised and managed to articulate what it was about this that I found so aggravating, and it comes down to a sense of disposability. Do you remember back in season 5 when they introduced the gay married Anglican Marines and the joke was that they didn't have names because why would they need names when you can just call them by what they are? And then they were immediately killed off and completely unremarked upon? The fact that this happened to a gay couple is pretty telling. I remember back in the episode Midnight when the flight attendant died and the fact that nobody knew her name was treated like a tragedy, which it was, and it was an incredibly somber moment. But then Moffat took over and suddenly it was supposed to be super funny that 2 nameless gay guys got brutally murdered. And the issue is that there was a second layer to the they don't have names joke, and that's that it was an indicator that you shouldn't get attached to them or care who they are because they were meant to be thrown away. And that's the sense I got from watching the special with Rose in it. The special treated Rose's gender identity like a minor hiccup, like an issue to be fixed. The Doctor being non-binary didn't really matter because the Doctor isn't meant to be an audience surrogate. The companions are. And Rose was, however briefly, a companion. And the problem is, everything about her gender identity is predicated on alien influence. She chose her name because of the Doctor's memory of the original Rose, and she was only non-binary because of the meta-crisis altering her brain to make her more like a Time Lord. In entirely connecting the two concepts, Davies has essentially written the only non-binary human character as someone who just had to be cured of a disease, which she then is, which is implied by the show to be because she's female. And I do say female because that's how Davies has written her, as a woman who wasn't truly a woman until she flushed the alien influence from her body. Whether he realises it or not, Russell T Davies has written non-binary people as needing to be cured of our gender identities, and I honestly struggle to think of a more condemning statement than that. It's just hurtful. Being treated like a problem that needs to be gotten rid of is hurtful. Anyway, sidebar over. I'll get back to the conclusion now. Thanks for listening. The good news though is that rep like this is in the minority, and there are plenty of better characters, a good amount on this list even, that we can engage with and feel better about ourselves. Also, this was in no way an invitation to harass Yasmin Finney. She did a fantastic job with the bad writing she was given to work with, and if anybody is mean to her for this, I want you to know that I disavow you, and you have a special seat waiting in hell for you. Also, something, Patreon, give me money, whatever. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I promise to have a much more positive video coming soon to make up for the fact that I had to cut so much out of the Sympathy for the Devil video. Peace.